No matter how your lawyer comes around it, tries to make a case for you, it won't fly because you're guilty. You're guilty. You should be jailed and you should face the full arm of the law. I know I've said this many times, but I cannot say it enough. Literally, I can't say it enough. If you're going to be a mommy, a daddy, a parent, whatever, be prepared to be a fighter. Literally prepare yourself to fight. I'm saying this because a lot of parents do not understand that once you have children, and I'm going to get into a whole lot of things briefly. Once you have children, there are situations that will test you. There are people that will test you deliberately to see your mettle, to see how far you can go for your children. And this is not to say, oh, you're the parent that's probably a helicopter parent, or a parent that is always micromanaging. You want to be involved. You're a meddler. No, I'm not talking about parents that are meddlers. No, I'm talking about parents who have raised their children well. When you raise your child with principles, with ethics, with values, you will know deep within you that, look, now if you bring a child into this world, it's not just in raising them. It's not just in paying school fees, buying their uniform, making sure they have a healthy lifestyle. It is a lot. So you're not just living for yourself. You're living for the number of children you have, plus your husband or whatever. If you're not ready to fight, there are certain things that will happen to your child. For instance, your child comes to you after school or on a random sunny afternoon, and your child is like, Uncle so touched me. What will you do? What are you going to do? No, just think about that question for a second. When your child comes to you and says, Auntie so told me to sit on her laps and she started touching me, what are you going to do? Because I assure you, your next line of actions will go ahead to prove whether you're on the side of your children or on the side of your extended family. So whose side are you going to be on? There are certain things your child brings to you, if they trust you, by the way. There are certain things that they'll bring to you that you know that, I'm not taking this. I'm not taking this. Then you'll be prepared to go to war for your children. Those are the parents that I'm speaking about. Hi guys, and you're welcome to Kaki's vlog. It's been a while. Well, it's nice to be here, and today we're going to be talking about an honest conversation, an honest topic that has to do, as usual, with children. I have been a teacher for over 11 years. I've worked in different organizations, whether it's corporate, education, healthcare, you name it, and I have come in contact a lot with vulnerable people. Now, vulnerable people are people who need some sort of help, some sort of guidance, some sort of support with doing their daily activities. So it can be children that need guidance, counseling, mentoring. It can be older adults or adults with disabilities that need support in one form or the other. So I have been in the field long enough to understand that the society we live in now, irrespective of the country or continent you are, do not work to the favor of these vulnerable people. So if you're someone living with a disability, if you're autistic, you have ADHD, you have, dyslexia, whatever it is, society, rather than be kind, will make fun of that person. I've worked in special schools as well, so I know what I'm talking about. It is important that we take these issues head on. We face them head on. How do you support people who are vulnerable, people who don't have a voice, people when they are touched do not understand what that means? They feel it is normal when they're touched inappropriately by people who are in their family. Because if you check statistics, it shows that most times these assaults and violence against children happen with people that are in their family. They don't happen with outsiders. Can be your neighbor, yes, but with people that these children know. So when your child comes to you, again, when your child comes to you and tells you, this person, it might be your brother, it might be your sister, touched me in so way, what are you going to do? Are you going to sweep it under the carpet and protect the family name, or you're going to face this head on and make sure that there is not a repeat of this occurrence? Because I assure you, there are many families out there that are aware that their uncles, that their aunties are touching children, but they're doing nothing about it. You're an enabler. An enabler is someone that aids and abets a bad activity. So when they say, oh, you're aiding, abetting, we charge you because you aided and abetted, you were complicit, that means you knew that this was happening, but you did nothing about it. You didn't report it. You didn't stand in the favor and in support of the victim. Instead, you shielded the perpetrator. You're an enabler. When something happens to vulnerable people, when something happens to people, they go through sexual violence, sexual abuse, domestic abuse, whatever the case may be, you start making a case for the abuser. You are an enabler. So I do not agree or conform to the statement or the school of thought that says if you had a child, you will not do this. No, you do not need a child before you have empathy. You do not need to be married before you have empathy. You do not need to be a mother before you have empathy. You do not need to be a father before you have empathy. You do not need to have any social status or delegation before you have empathy or common sense. And that is why I will stick to my opinion that says these people who do these things know exactly what you're doing. It is a behavioral issue more than it being a mental issue. It is a behavioral issue, because if it wasn't a behavioral issue, how come they're not doing it in front of people, in the public? Do it to children in front of us. Let's see what happens to you. They know exactly what you're doing, and they target certain families, they target certain children, they target certain people because they have observe that there's a weak link. So I ask once again, if you're that parent and your child brings such a thing to you, what are you going to do? Are you going to investigate the situation? Are you going to face your brother? How are you going to face your brother? How are you going to face your sister? My child said this. How are you going to attack the situation? Will you attack it angrily? Will you do your research? Will you do your investigation? Will you get a lawyer involved? Will you get the police involved? I would like to know what parents are going to say about this. I would like to hear, because more than anything, we are seeing cases of married men. We saw a video last week of a married man, a 42 or 43-year-old man, married with kids, texting not one, not two, several minors in the UK. And even when these people said, look, I am 14, I'm not an adult, he kept on going, asking for illicit pictures from a minor. You want to tell me he doesn't know what he's doing? He knows what he's doing. So again, I do not agree to the school of thought that says, oh, you're in the UK now, you're in a Western country now, so there are certain things that you do not do once you cross Muritala Airport. No, you shouldn't even do it in the first place. And then we agree that this is actually a thing. We agree that there are men old enough to be the fathers of these children, young girls, who are actually these girls. Because what business does a man in his 30s have with a girl that's still in secondary school? Yes, it might have been happening. It has become norm for some societies, but it is wrong. Every country is governed by rules, by laws, by policy. What does the policy in your country say about it? Do you know that in the UK, you can get imprisoned for up to 10 years if you're sharing, if you have in your possession, in your phone, whether it's by mistake, whether someone sent it to you, whether you opened it or you didn't open it, you can be imprisoned for up to 10 years for sharing child pornography. About that, there was a case that I saw yesterday. I read it. The lady was an inspector of police, and her sister sent her a video of a child being. The woman, the inspector, didn't open this video, but guess what? She was charged. She was charged for being in possession of that video. So these are how strict, these are how delicate these situations are. Not to mention when you're aware that someone is touching your child. Is it the case I heard about a lesson teacher that had actually essayed a child, and the mother is actually a teacher, but she had no idea. And when they asked this girl, why didn't you tell your mom or your dad, she said they would not believe me. There are many things to unpack here. When your child comes to you, and there was a case yesterday of a lady who said a man was touching a lady's daughter. The woman was upstairs and her daughter was downstairs. It's a restaurant in Nigeria. And when this lady said, look, go and keep an eye on your child, someone is touching her, she just brushed it aside. So even if you're a woman, you can be an enabler. I was in the bus some years ago in Nigeria, and this guy kept on rubbing against the boobs of a lady in the bus. I saw it from behind. I was like, is it only me that is seeing this? Nobody said a thing. I had to shout. I was like, why are you touching her? And he asked me, is it you I'm touching? Meanwhile, he never knew the lady. These things happen on a regular. People decide to close their eyes. They don't say anything. It was when I spoke up, another guy in the bus spoke up and said, see, you've been doing this thing. For the fact that the lady is not talking doesn't mean she likes it. Stop it. It now became a thing of argument inside a bus. You're not collecting change from conductor. I do not know what you're doing. Let me tell you, it is uglier. It is annoying. It is nauseating than I can describe. And so we need to start telling ourselves the truth. This thing happens in families. This thing happens in schools, in churches, in places of association, places of work. What will you do? That's my question. I want to know your comments in my comment section. I want to know what you think about this in my comment section. As you can see, I'm already heated because I feel that we're not doing enough to protect our children. I feel that we're all living in denial. We like to sweep this thing under the carpet and it doesn't suit anyone at all. Mind you, there are lasting mental issues, mental side effects of sexual abuse on children. Do your studies, do your readings, and you find out that these children who are sexually abused go on later in life not to heal. They don't heal. It doesn't go away. It doesn't go away with therapy, with deliverance like that. It doesn't work that way. It affects a lot of people. It affects women. It affects their health, their gynecological health. It affects men. They get depressed. These are real life issues. So the earlier we start educating ourselves, the earlier we start being enlightened to do something to change this, and then enforce it in laws and policies and make those laws airtight such that it cannot be beaten. No matter how your lawyer comes around it, tries to make a case for you, it won't fly because you're guilty. You're guilty. You should be jailed and you should face the full arm of the law. There was no how I was going to make this video without getting heated. There is no how. There's no how. Thanks for watching. Once again, this is Kaki's vlog. Like, share, comment, do the good stuff you guys have been doing by supporting my channel, by watching, turning on post notifications. I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.